defines common sense. Whether or not it's the person that in their own subconscious it's reinforcing it or it's actually clearing it, I don't know. But I will say that I've had 3 people that have had this problem. And I suggested it to all 3 people, and they've never had a problem with their tablets like that again. Now, scanners and, all the other squawk boxes, that's a little different. It's a different story. I think they kind of bring in something a little bit lower. But
Sure.
Well,
how many times do you get a call from people that maybe go to a estate sale or go to antique shop and they pick something up inadvertently that's got an attachment and they're going crazy and they don't know who to call and they give you a call hoping to get some help and, how often do you bring something home?
I just got a message on Facebook not 15 minutes ago. And, that's somebody brought in bought a memory plaque where it had some flowers in it, dried flowers in there, and some locks of hair. And they said that ever since that they brought it into the house, about 2 weeks, they're starting to see like shadow figures, and they've heard some weird knocking. So I got some studio work tomorrow morning. So when I'm done with that, I'm going to shoot up and pick it up from them. As for now, I just told them to, leave it out in their garage, and things will be cool. It'll cool right down, and I think it will. I think it's because of the piece that they brought in.
Okay. Well, I was gonna say, when you grab it, you bring it home. You don't bring it right in your house, do you? Is there a certain period of time where you put it somewhere where you can observe it and figure out what the deal is?
Yeah, I throw it in my garage on top of my on top of my grass clippings. Actually, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you out there. You're doing a garbage bag or something. But what I do with it is I do have a set of prayers that I'm a spiritualist, and I shouldn't be, and this is not within the realm of that religion, but I do have certain prayers that I use on it. I will use holy water on it. I use I'm not a big sage guy, but I like cedar. My friend Mike Bastine, who is an Algonquin and part of the last of the wisdom keepers, the true wisdom keepers, he taught me how to use cedar on it, and I use that, and I let it out there. I leave it outside for about 5 to 7 days, and before I bring it into the house. And then it just goes right back into the basement, one of the 5 or 6 foot lockers full of good stuff, or as my lovely wife says, all that poo-poo.
I was going to say, that poor lady, you bring another one in. Oh, man, bring another haunted object in? She's
like, oh, well, I got 48 Ouija boards in the house, too. So, if one thing ain't going to cause trouble, something else probably will along the way.
Ain't that the truth?
We'd love to talk to you about Ouija boards, because that comes up over and over. And man, what a bone of contention. You have the whole spectrum of, it doesn't matter, it's just a toy, how could it do anything, all the way over to, it is utterly the tool of Satan. And the reality, I'm sure, is somewhere in between the two. But we don't want to put words in your mouth. What are your overall thoughts on the efficacy and the safety of a Ouija board or similar talking boards?
I've been using a talking board in one form or another since I've been about 9 years old. When I took Spiritualist Lyceum, we used a shot glass or a wine glass on a polished table for yes or no answers. It would slide one way or the other way for yes or no. So I've been doing this a long time. I've worked with writing planchets when I was a kid. And here's the bottom line. Spirit is not coming down there and moving that planchet. It ain't doing it. It's just like dowsing. You're moving it.
Right.
All those micro movements. You're doing it. You're the antenna. So it's the board that's not evil, but it could be the person or the susceptibility of the person to blame. And that's a lot of problem with it. The other thing is people use it flippantly, and just because it was sold in a toy store doesn't really mean it's a toy. It's a tool of divination, and people have to understand how to work with them. And too many people go and they believe everything the Ouija board says to them. And this is what I tell people. Listen, Your Uncle Joe dies, right? Comes back through the Ouija board and says, you know, Eric, Joel, I want you to take all the money you have out of the bank. I want you to go to the casino because I know this is going to be the lucky day, your big hit. I know it. And you go out there and you guys blow all your money and
cry.
You get nothing.
Yeah.
And here's what the bottom line is. Use your common sense. If Uncle Joe was a drunk that had never worked a day in his life, lived over a bar, had a room over a bar, and had never had money and doesn't know anything about anything, just say, thank you, Uncle Joe.
Yeah, thanks.
You know, thank you. I appreciate the tip. You know, you got to use your common sense. And when you start researching Ouija boards, you start seeing over and over and over again people that are susceptible and believe that these things are never wrong. And I'm going to be honest with you. You got to understand that you got to use your common sense. You got to set boundaries. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know what? Something comes through and gives you a wholehearted F you, and you say, hey, this isn't no. You gotta talk civil to me.
Yeah.
You want to get through, this is the way it works. I'm me, the guy that's here with my hand on the plancher. I'm the conduit here. So guess what? If you want to get whatever want to say through, you got to get it through me. So these are the boundaries. And if you don't want to work with me, I really could care less. And that's the way you have to be. But a lot of people, you know, when they get that first FU or they start getting, some nasty stuff through that, they get all, at first it's a thrill, then they get shocked, and then they get afraid. And that fear starts to really build. And you can create thought forms because of that fear.
Sure.
And then you can bring through something nasty like a parasitical spirit that lives on that stuff, like vampiric parasites. You have to really be careful with it, and you have to, at the end of every session, just like when you're working with scanners, or you should be doing it with recorders or even K2s or whatever you're using, say, okay, I'm going to count to 5. By the time I get down to 5, I want everybody that's here back on the other side. You have no choice. You can't stay here. I'm giving you the time to do it. And you have to kind of close that, because I call them artificial portals. They're not natural in nature. You're creating them every time you use a Ouija board, every time you use a pendulum, every time you go and you do an EVP session. You're creating an artificial portal for something to hopefully come through, so it can do that intelligent two-way communication. Man, that's what people want. But you close it. You got to close the door. And I have had oh my God, Jesus. Guys, I don't want to say that my age is 61, but I'm older. When Moses was coming down that damn mountain, man, I was the guy that...
You polished the tablet, right?
But I've been doing it for almost over 30 years, closer to 40 years, and I've only had a problem once, and that was due to my own ego and my own naivety, that I did not exactly know what I was doing. And when I do anything, paranormal investigations, mediumship, working with divination, working with the haunted objects, I'm dead serious, man. I don't put up with anything, and I make sure that when I bind something and render it neutral, that it stays that way. And only work one piece at a time to make sure it's that. And every so often, I might get a little scratch on my cabinet where I have probably the oldest Ouija boards, but very seldom do I have anything that really comes through or bothers me. And everybody asks. Here's the big thing. Everybody asks my wife, where does he keep those boards, and where do he keep all those objects? And she says, well, he keeps them in the basement. And they go, well, aren't you afraid when you go in the basement? She goes, hell, I haven't been in the basement since he retired in 2 years. He does the laundry.
It's funny talking about Ouija boards, because we'll have a lot of people on the show, paranormal investigators and stuff like that. And in one breath, they're saying, it is devil's candy. Don't touch the Ouija board, but yet EVPs are great. Well, I started thinking to myself, but you're still opening yourself up. Either way, you're still putting yourself out there, and I'm glad you touched on that, because really, at the end, there really is not a whole heck of a lot of difference.
No, the whole thing is you don't like in dowsing. Everybody thinks of dowsing with the pendulum or the dowsing rods or the Y rod. I mean, you go out there and there's tremblers, shakers. You put your arm out to get that pull down. It's you. It's you. You've got to understand that you've got to be disciplined enough and understand and believe, or else you're going to open up a world of hurt. When you close something down, you have to believe 100% that it's closed down. I've never, and you guys know I've been in some nasty ass places over the past few years.
Yeah, just a few, just a few places that I would think twice about going in. Yeah.
Just this weekend, I was in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and I was up at a location where there was a murder in 1985. And it was a field hospital. I mean, it's really interesting. And I got to tell you what, I walked in there, got sick to my stomach, the hair on my arms went up. It's a neat place. It's a beautiful place. I love it. I love to go in there. I love to interact. But, there's not a lot of things. I've never had any problems that ever brought anything home with me. I mean, and I've slept, to be honest with you, since I hit 50, I slept in every place I've ever investigated. I've fallen asleep at one. Hey, it's the witching hour, 3 a.m. Well, better go wake up Tim because he won't want to miss this now.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because attachments is another thing that comes up a lot is people that bring things home. I mean, what's the protocol? I mean, I've done it myself, inadvertently bringing something home. What's the best way to go about it? Cleansing yourself.
The best way. Absolutely the best way is to go and believe that the attachment is no more. That's the hardest thing to do. So you believe, so you are. That's very, very tough. Everything else that you do, all the rituals and everything, that's all reinforcement to it. People have to understand what's a prayer? A prayer is a stylized belief. What is a true belief? What is this ritual? It is a focused intent. If you believe 100%, then you won't have a problem. That's where sometimes people really need that reinforcement. Let's say you got a house that's infested, and the people are kind of they don't really understand what's going on, frightened. I don't mind blessing the house. I do not mind going out there and doing what I have to do, but the most important thing is to teach these people exactly what's going on and to understand that through knowledge of the whatever,
sure,
they start to go and lessen their fear. Once the fear starts to lessen, now other people are starting to back in control. One of my mentors, the Reverend Sharon Klingler of Ohio, always said, you never leave a person open. You never leave a person wanting. You always empower the person. Because that person that is in front of you at that time is the most important person. It should be the most important person in your life.
Yeah.
And it's up to you to do that. 9 out of 10 times, you won't have a problem. Things start to lessen. People start to believe that. You give them back their power. Because everybody's watched 1,001 horror movies, and what happens? Every victim is powerless against the great, nasty doohickey that's
Gozer or whatever. Yeah, but is it hard to convince people that they have the power, though? I mean, that's the hardest thing.
That's hard. And you have to go and you really have to sit down and find out what their belief system is, and then you work within. If they're brought up Roman Catholic, let's work in this way. How Christ fills the void, how nothing evil can go and take part and survive in a house that is full of love and through Jesus Christ. You have to do that. If they're Roman Catholic, instead of sage, instead of cedar, burn frankincense, because in their brains, whether or not they are practicing Catholics or not, they will remember that from sometime when they were younger. It reinforces
it's ingrained. It's ingrained. It's an ingrained belief.
And I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie. It takes time. And there's no such thing. See, a lot of paranormal people think that they're one-time shots. They go in, they solve the mystery, and that's it.
Yeah, it's put a nice little bow at the end of the night. It's all done. Look at that. Yeah, I hear you. It's ongoing. Most times it's ongoing.
Exactly.